group of entrepreneurs?
One of the challenges is survival. Many businesses start up,
yes,
but the longevity is a problem.
Yes.
In the post-recession situation, we've seen 40% of businesses developed cashing or crashing in, and that's generally because of a lack of skill and a lack of finance.
Certainly. So just because you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean that you're not exposed to the will of the markets. As the pressure increases, it increases on entrepreneurs in the same way as it does a large corporate. But often as an entrepreneur in a startup, you don't have the financial reserves perhaps, and you may not have the business acumen and the knowledge. I think that's very much where the Gordon Institute of Business Science comes in, trying to build business knowledge and acumen in entrepreneurs so that they are better able to mitigate the issues around a difficult market. If they can understand business process better and they're better educated in the niceties, they may well be able to face these issues to
what extent do you engage financial institutions? And I'm talking about the high cost of security for businesses set up by entrepreneurs. Banks don't really want to incur the risk, and so they make it expensive to get credit to start a business.
Sure, I think access to finance, if we look at research done by our director of academic programs, she's done a study on female entrepreneurs specifically, and the first issue that they have is access to capital. That is the first hurdle, followed by access to information. Access to capital is not an area where GIBS can actively drive the issues. We're more in the case of saying, let's give information as to how they get access to capital, how they should be expressing the business, how they should be managing the business so that they have access to that capital.
Experts often lament the fact that there are few entrepreneurial skills, and I'm baffled by that, because I would have thought that you're either born an entrepreneur, you can't make an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Is that a wrong assessment?
Sure, I think it's the old nature or nurture question, and I think at GIBS we think it's a combination of both. So if you look, for instance, at when we recruit entrepreneurs for our entrepreneurship MBA, for instance, we're looking for a very specific person. They must not only cross the hurdles that you normally get into to get into an MBA, but you have to be entrepreneurial. You have to give up your full-time job. You have to have a business plan. You have to have a vision for where you want to go. So I think it's a combination of both that will and that desire, and a lot of that comes from the role models that you've seen. The reason that we're so involved in publishing SA's Greatest Entrepreneurs is because we want to show and document role models for the future entrepreneurs to be able to learn from.
What about the exogenous factors that are beyond circumstance? Many people have seen Black economic empowerment as an avenue to developing entrepreneurs in South Africa, but with credit lines drying up and deals not flowing, many potential entrepreneurs have now either gone back to the drawing board and gone back to their corporate careers. Is that something that you're concerned about?
Look, I think entrepreneurs need to be resilient. It's not easy starting a business. South Africa has a very complex economic environment, and a successful entrepreneur would also probably be successful in bigger business as well. So if they have the skills and they have the aptitude, they're going to be attractive back there. But often they come back, I think, and we heard Moki discuss the fact that often entrepreneurs have more than one go before they become the sort of people that are in the book. But they have to be resilient through that.
Okay, we have to leave it there. Andrew, in 30 seconds, what could be done to improve the situation, especially longevity? We know the JSE has Altex, for instance, for capital raising of SMEs and smaller companies and medium cap companies. What other opportunities are there for non-bank financing?
Well, I suppose the mechanism of Altex has been a step in the right direction. If you look in the private equity space, it's still a market that's developing in South Africa, and venture capital, which you see in the US context, is not massive here yet, and that will ultimately be a source of finance for entrepreneurs.
All right, thank you so much for coming through. Howard Fox, Marketing Director at GIBS, for talking to us about entrepreneurial skills in South Africa.
Okay, so guys, what are you thinking? Why do you think there's a decline of entrepreneurs in South Africa? We had entrepreneurs, so it's not like we've never had entrepreneurs in South Africa. There's an actual decline in entrepreneurship. And what do you guys think? What is the reason for that? Why do we have a decline in entrepreneurship? I think we've kind of spoken about the challenges in terms of access to capital, the fact that they have to take risks. I know in another class, one of the students also said that we are not really educated or taught to identify opportunities or identify gaps. So we don't, we're not taught to actually look for gaps in the market. Okay, so Daniela, yes, people are just scared to take financial risks. And I think it's always going to come back to the fact that if you work for someone, then, you have that safety net almost of a salary every month. Yes, Naya, lack of skills, knowledge to sustain a business. So someone might have a good idea, and I think you guys probably have heard friends say this, where they have a good idea, but they just don't know how to start it. They don't know where to start. So they don't have that knowledge to actually start the company, and then to obviously, once they have started the company, to sustain the actual company. How do you guys think we can overcome these challenges that we are facing? Okay, friends and family discounts, yes. So I'm already saying there's a quote that I saw the other day that says, if you want to help your friend that started his own business, instead of asking for free things, rather support his business by buying from him, because that's what happens. So family, let's say we own a fish and chips shop, and then your family will say, oh, can't you just bring us fish and chips home, from work, And then the first time you might think, okay, yeah, you can taste our fish and chips. The next time you're like, when are you going to pay me? And guys, the same thing, for instance, like I've said to you, my husband is a lawyer, but he has his own company. And you guys will not believe how many times friends and family I said, listen, can you just quickly just help me out with something? And then he needs to, for instance, go to court. So it's a big thing. He needs to give up his day that he could have actually made money with other clients. He has to give it up and work for free, because that is what the family and his friends expect. So a quick letter is not just a quick letter. Sometimes it takes up to a day to just write a legal letter, because you need to get all that info, you need to make sure it's sent, and he does that for free. Okay, so I do agree with you, friends and family do sometimes feel that you've started a business, and now they expect some free products. Okay. So guys, if we continue, the next slide, we're going to look at the entrepreneurial process. So guys, the entrepreneurial process, the first thing we're going to look at, so the entrepreneurial process is about creating value. So the entrepreneur has to identify a gap or new opportunities by using his leadership skills and resources to build the organization to actually fit around this specific opportunity. So if we take the dry bath example again, he saw that there was a gap in the market for it. And then he said, you know what resources can I use? What materials can I use to actually start this company? For instance, he won't source metal, okay? Because metal is not a resource that he's actually going to use unless he puts the gel inside of a tin. Then it's something different. But then if he puts it inside of a tin, he's not going to, one of the raw materials that he's going to buy is not going to be glass, because what is he going to do with glass? Remember, we said we have limited resources. We have to try and use as little as we can to still satisfy that need. So an entrepreneur needs to make a lot of choices. So they need to look at their own personal characteristics, the abilities and the skills of, if they, for instance, want a new owner. So sometimes entrepreneurs, you have entrepreneurs that just want to start businesses, and then they give it over to someone that will then manage the business. Okay. So you have access to resources. You need to look at you need to objectively actually look at the opportunity and the idea that you have. So it might sound like a good idea now, but is there still going to be a need 6 or 7 months down the line? For instance, I know of someone that created glasses. So, like glasses that you're using for your screen. So it has a blue filter on the glass so that you don't harm your eyes when you look at a laptop. But then I thought with my own glasses that I got from the optometrist, does the same thing. It also has the blue film in that helps protect my eyes when I look at the computer. So why is there really a gap for glasses that the only function is that they have that blue film in that actually protects your eyes? That's the only function. Okay, and you also have to be around 1 meter from the screen. Anything further, then they're not going to work. So is there really a gap for that in the market? Sometimes not all opportunities is a good opportunity. So you might see an opportunity in the market, doesn't mean it's always a good opportunity. You might have a good idea now, but the time is just not right. So then you just have to wait a little bit until the timing for that specific idea is right. Then can you actually turn this idea into a company? Okay. Can this idea that you have become an opportunity that will eventually make you profit? Can you make profit from this specific idea? You also need to compile a business plan. And then the last one is you need to launch and manage your new business. Okay, so guys, on the side of this little graph here, you can see the first thing it says is enter or do not enter the business world. Okay, are we going to start a company or not start a company? The next question is, do we have the necessary entrepreneurial skills? Guys, by the way, this is on page 58, just if you wanted to know, yes or no. Then do I have the required resources, or can I get access to those resources? So guys, if you take Elon Musk, for instance, he knew that he wanted to build an electric car. But building an electric car 50 years ago, just the time was not right. The time is right now because now we have the technology to actually build an electric car. Then, do I have an above average chance that this idea will work? Does the feasibility analysis show that the opportunity is feasible? So can I make money? Did the business plan convince investors, the bank, suppliers, that the venture will succeed? Because remember, you need to compile a business plan. And in the next chapter, we are actually going to compile a business plan. And then only after you've said yes to all 5 of these questions, all 6 of these questions, can you proceed with actually starting your own business. So guys, the skills that are required for entrepreneurship, you need to have strategy skills, you need to have planning skills, marketing, financial, project management, and human relation skills. So if we look at strategy skills, this involves the ability to consider the business as a whole and to understand how it fits into the marketplace. So where does this business fit into the marketplace? Then planning skills. This is the ability to consider what the future might offer. How will the future, any changes that might happen, how will it impact my business? One of the main examples, guys, I think for the next 10 years will always be COVID. No one thought of COVID. No one planned for COVID. So what if something like that is so sudden and so unplanned happens? How are you going to survive? The next one is marketing skills. So you need to evaluate the offering of the business and the features and determine how this product that you have developed, how will it actually satisfy the customer's needs? You can't create a product that doesn't satisfy the customer's needs. I think I used the example last week about a company manufacturing CDs. So the company might still say, you know what, let's manufacture CDs. People will one day buy CDs. We know they will. Let's just keep on manufacturing CDs. But does it actually satisfy a customer need? Do we still have a need for CDs? We don't. Okay. So also under marketing skills, we need to look at the pricing, promotion, and the distribution of products or service. The next one is financial skills that the entrepreneur needs. So they need to be able to track their expenditure. If you get a loan from a bank, you can't just go and buy a brand new car with that money. You remember you started this business because you identified a gap in the market. You now need to create your product or create your service. You can't just go and randomly spend the money on luxury holidays and hope for the best, because eventually you need to pay that loan back. The next one is project management skills. You must be able to draw your product and your timeline and your business out onto a sheet of paper to say, what are the goals that I want to reach by when? And the last one is human relation skills. So guys, human relation skills, this includes the ability to deal with people as well as the communication skills. So sometimes you have entrepreneurs that just do not have human relation skills. They don't know how to speak to people. They don't know how to motivate people. So remember that entrepreneurs need all of these skills, but the strengths in all of these skills won't be equal. So they might have a bigger marketing skill, and it's important to identify your strengths and employ someone to help you with your weaknesses. So if you know that you just really do not have the human skill, if someone upsets you, you will tell them like, listen, you've just upset me, and maybe not in a nice way. Then rather get someone that you know have those human skills, that has the ability to speak to people in a nice way, and that can motivate people. If you are going to treat people bad, you're going to have a bad atmosphere in your company, and they are not going to want to assist you. Okay, so you always need to treat people right. Remember that whole golden rule that you need to treat people how you want to be treated? This especially counts in an entrepreneurship. So guys, the other thing is that the entrepreneur also needs certain resources to start a business. So they need financial resources. So banks will offer financial means in terms of overdraft, loans. You can, for instance, have outstanding debtors that you can also, for instance, use. So maybe there's someone that owes someone else money, and then through that you can also get a financial resource. And the last one is investment capital. So sorry guys. So then you might have money that you have invested, or you might have money that your parents invested, and then you can use that specific money. Human resources, guys, you need humans. So you need employees. So you need someone like that will help you manage the company. You need lawyers, accountants, IT consultants. You need maybe marketing consultants, strategic consultants, everyone that will help you to grow your business. You cannot do this by yourself. It's impossible. So guys, the last type of resource that you need is assets. Okay, so you need offices, vehicles, equipment, raw materials, buildings, machineries, and plants. So sometimes when you start your business, you'll actually start really small, and you'll start maybe in one of the rooms in your house. You'll start your business. So you might have someone that manufactures the product for you on your behalf, and you do the rest. But as your business grows, you will eventually buy an office building, for instance, that has its own machinery, has its own manufacturing plant, where you can then finally manufacture your own problem. So guys, also with this, remember this is where risk is, and that's why I put risk and the danger, warning, caution here. Okay, because like I've said, people always want to manage. They think they can manage everything, and it is just not true. You cannot manage your whole company. You need to have people that is actually going to help you manage this company, and that's what I said. You need to look at your strengths, and you need to look at your own weaknesses, and employ people that will help you with your strengths. Employ people that will help you with your weaknesses. Okay, so guys, everyone is still good. Hey, if there's anything that you guys are confused about, I know this is your first BMG collab, but let me know if you guys are still on track. Luckily, guys, with chapter 2 of the entrepreneurship, there's not a lot of this is theory, so you need to understand the work, which does make it a little bit easier. Okay, everyone's good. Everyone's quiet at the same time. So guys, the next thing that we're going to look at is, let's get a check. Okay, everyone's good, hundreds. So guys, the next thing we're going to look at is, you have this idea, but where do you actually, what type of business do we actually start? Okay, where do we actually start? So the first one is your new venture ideas. You can also have new venture opportunities. You can also buy an existing business. You can have a franchise. And then the last one is corporate entrepreneurship. So guys, establishing a new business involves an idea that the entrepreneur needs to pursue enthusiastically. So the first one that we're going to look at is new venture ideas. So guys, this is where we follow trends. So I think you guys know what trends are by now. So for instance, let me just quickly, put this here. So this can be economic trends, political trends, or social trends. One of the big things these days are being eco-friendly. It's quite a big trend that almost every business is following. How can they be more economic friendly? How can they reduce waste, for instance, in their production line? How can they reduce waste in their packaging, for instance? So guys, figure 2.4 also shows the life cycle of the industry. So you also need to go and look, for instance, when you start a business, what product are you actually starting? So guys, if you look on page 62, page 2.4, you'll see that you have the rebirth. So you have an embryo, growth, maturity, and a decline. So for instance, if you look at an embryo, there you have your smart materials, parallel computing, wind sails for ships, you have memory tools, nanowires, genetic screening clinics. So these are all IT related. So you can see that IT is obviously a big trend currently in the world. Some products that are now in the growth stage will be elder care, in-home health care, for instance, 3D printed organs is also a big thing. You have complementary medicine, chronic pain management. Things that are now in the maturity stage are like snow skiing that have fossil fuels, desktops, laptops, cell phones. So if you want to start, if you, for instance, want to create a new laptop, okay, your new laptop is already in the maturity stage. So what are you introducing into the market to make sure that you, for instance, introduce it under the embryo or the growth stage? Okay. Then the last one is the decline. So guys, this is landline phones. If you are going to now introduce a new type of landline phone, people are not really going to buy it. That trend is finished, is done. For instance, if you have variety stores that have letter writing, hula hoops. So hula hoops are sometimes making a statement again. Also, I saw there are skateboards is in now. People are skateboarding again. So skateboarding has gone through this whole life cycle, and now it is back at a rebirth. Okay. So guys, do you see that for some products, they will go through all of these 4 stages and have a rebirth again. Can you guys still remember that fidget spinner that you could play with, the fidget spinner that you could spin? That was a trend. Everyone was manufacturing fidget spinners, but then after a while, it went away. Okay, I don't know if any of you guys still have fidget spinners, really. So guys, another idea that you can also get is from growth industries. So think of education, healthcare, tourism, privatization. If you, for instance, think of maybe you saw a gap in the education sector. So maybe students are walking to school, and you saw that you can maybe offer them bicycles. So you can start a company that manufactures a low-cost, lightweight bicycle for people that are traveling to school every day. Or tourism. There might be a new idea that you have in tourism. Now with COVID, we couldn't go anywhere. So we had these virtual game drives in the Kruger National Park, for instance. So imagine you can put that onto those 3D type of screens where people can then sit and they can book a holiday, but it's a virtual holiday. So you can maybe give them like a little gift box that has some of the products from that country, and then as they go on their virtual holiday, they can also enjoy the products of that specific country. By the way, this is just an idea I thought of now. Okay. So guys, another one is through, oh, it's actually raining. Advertisements, retailers, you look at competitors, trade shows. So guys, I quickly want to show you Voyous Vosh. I think you guys will still remember Voyous Vosh. Let me quickly get it. We're actually watching a lot of YouTube videos today. Okay, let me quickly just get Voyous Vosh. Do you guys still remember this ad? Let me just quickly pause it. Pause. Okay, I think you guys also remember this specific ad.
What do you think Puya's special ingredient is? They're porous. No. But there's something special about the man. I mean, everything of his is better. It's not about that. He is a visionary. What is the special ingredient? Speedboat. Guys, speaking of special ingredients, how about another round?
Only Hansa Pilsner is brewed with their special ingredient, the kiss of the SARS hop.
So guys, can you remember this advert of Voyous Vosh? Okay, it was actually a Hansa Pilsner advert, but they had this fictional character which is called Voyous Vosh. So there was this entrepreneur, Miles Kubeka, who saw this ad and he thought, but does Voyous Vosh actually exist? And then he checked and there was no copyright on the wording Voyous Vosh. So he actually started his own company, has like a little stall where he sells hot dog rolls, and he called it Voyous Vosh. So he actually went from the marketing, so the company that for Hansa Pilsner that did the whole Voyous Vosh, he actually took their idea of Voyous Vosh and then started his own company using the same the name and the branding already. So they essentially already did all the work for him. He just physically had to open his own Voyous Vosh and sell hot dogs to people. Okay, so that's also a smart way of how you can, sure guys, it's like pouring here on campus. It's like, this is crazy. Okay, so guys, that's another example of Voyous Vosh. Okay, how they took, they saw this gap in the market. They said, but you know what? I can start my own company, and using all the marketing of Voyous Vosh for his own company. So guys, the next one is new venture opportunities. So new venture opportunities, remember that a good idea is not always a good opportunity. And a good idea is not always a good investment opportunity. So you might have a good idea, but it's not, but when you actually put that into the real world, when you actually think about it objectively and practically, it might not be a good investment opportunity. So a good idea must be able to be a good opportunity that you can actually create a company with. you must be able to create a company with it. So there needs to be a clearly defined market need for your product. If you tell people about your product, they need to almost instantly be like, oh yes, like why did I never thought of that? You don't necessarily want to explain your product to people because you don't want people to be confused about what you're offering. Then there must be sustainable competitive advantage. So ideally, your product needs to be new. If I'm going to start a company that produces milk, how's my product new? Okay. If I do it exactly the same way as Clover or as Parmalat, what is my competitive advantage really? Then there needs to be growth potential. Like we said earlier, no one starts a company to just be in business for 6 months. Okay, no one starts a company like that. And it should be rewarding for the investor or the entrepreneur. So they must actually be able to gain something from this business, which will most of the time be your profit. And what have I also said previously is the timing. So sometimes you have a good idea. It's just that the timing is really a bit wrong. I mean, for instance, last year when people had good ideas, but starting a business in COVID, you know, what is the feasibility of starting a business in COVID when people are already watching their money and turning over their money twice before they actually buy something? Okay, so guys, the next one, and I think I'm going to end with this one, is okay, quickly check. Okay, the next one is the advantages and the disadvantages of buying an existing business. So guys, what sometimes happen is you might have an entrepreneur or a small business owner that had a business, they liked the business, but they're kind of done. So they might have retired or they just are out of ideas on how to make this company profitable. Nothing that they are doing is actually working. So they then put that business up for sale. And you, as an entrepreneur, might see this business and think, oh, okay, I know what they did wrong, or I know what I can do differently. And then you buy the existing business. So some of the advantages of buying an existing business is that your customers are familiar with the location. So you don't have to tell them where your business is. They will already be coming to your business and know where your business is. So the only thing that you really have to do is just say that to market is that to say that the business is under new management. Another benefit from buying an existing business is that you have already have a customer base. So there's already customers or clients if you're, for instance, offering a service. So you don't have to go and find customers. You already have employees that know the business, that understand the business. Then you already have supplier relationships, and there might be financing that maybe can also be, for instance, be available. So guys, some of the disadvantages is that maybe although the customers know where the location is, the location might be a bit undesirable. Okay, so you might be in a bad area of town where they know where the business is, but they don't necessarily want to drive there, or it's maybe a bit far from where your customer base stays. So then it might be a good thing to rather relocate your business to a new location. The image of the business can be difficult to change. So guys, think of a company that has a bad reputation. If you think of, let's say, a KFC that consistently sells raw chicken, you buy 6 pieces of chicken, they only give 4. Even if they go under new management, how many of you will actually give them a chance after you've had a bad experience? So you sometimes the reputation of the business can maybe just be so damaged that you can't really revive the business. The employees that you got, they are inherited, so you haven't really chosen them. You might have, if you had to employ employees, you might not have employed the same people. There can also be the inventory and the equipment can maybe be old or broken, and that means that you have to then throw all of that equipment away and also get new equipment. So it might be costly. And then the last one is the financing costs. So it might cost so much for you to actually buy this business. And then when you actually walk into the business the first time, you see that it needs new paint. The equipment that they've used is just so old. It's just really not cost effective anymore. And then now you already don't have money, but you have to buy new equipment. At the same time, maybe you have employees that are stealing from you. You might have employees that are they don't like the new management. They like the old management. They maybe got away with favors from the old management, where with you, they won't necessarily be able to get away with any favors. Okay. So guys, this is more or less where I'm going to stop for today. I'm going to stop here, and then when I see you guys again, we can continue with the rest of the business opportunities. So guys, what I want you to do for when you guys are done with classes for today is just go through the work we've done today. Like I said, this is pretty straightforward work. I personally love entrepreneurship. I think it has so many aspects and facets attached to it. So really just go through the work and make sure that you guys understand the work. So tomorrow we do have a LAC session. You guys have a LAC session at 8 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load some questions for you onto VC Learn, which will be under more resources and then under LAC sessions. I will load some questions there or activities there for you. So guys, this will actually be your first business management LAC session. So these activities, you don't have to hand them in. It's really just for yourself. But please do them, because it will show you, it will show if you actually know if you actually understand the work. Okay. So guys, yeah, so that's basically it. Do you guys have any other questions? I also want to know, have you guys chosen a class rep yet? So A class, B class, do you guys have a class rep yet? If you guys can maybe let me know so I can just maybe highlight their names on my list. Do you guys have any class reps yet? Okay, let's quickly check. Okay, you haven't chosen yet. Okay, so guys, do you guys have a WhatsApp group yet? Do you guys have a WhatsApp group and a B WhatsApp group? Okay, Claudia, okay. So what I want you guys to do, I mean, you guys have now seen each other. So in this week, please choose a class rep. And then when I see you guys again, then just give me those names of the class rep so that I can just put it on my list as well. The program managers are looking for the class reps because that is kind of the person that they speak to if they quickly want to get some information out. It goes to the class rep. So obviously make sure that you choose someone that is actually in class, okay? Not the most popular person, actually someone that is in class. Okay, so guys, this is it for today. Luckily, you guys are now pretty much done. And then I'll load the LAC sessions. Oh, what's the responsibility of the class rep? So to me, as far as how can I say it? So they basically they are the line of communication between the class and the lecturer and the class and the program manager. Okay, so they are like that line of communication. So if I quickly want to get something out, then let's say it's an emergency. Okay, so let's say, for instance, there's a test for tomorrow and they've just changed the learning units. Okay, So I always put it on VC Learn, but it might be easier to just get it to the class rep, and the class rep can then just quickly send out a WhatsApp message to the class to say, listen guys, this just happened, or whatever, so that they know about it. Because if you send it over an announcement, people might only see it a bit later on. Okay, or let's say I'm late for class, then I can quickly let the class rep know, like, listen, on my way, and then they can just inform everyone else as well. So that's basically what the class rep does. Okay. So